It's official. According to Tesla, believe this or not, folks, the semi-truck production has started, with first delivery slated to be made to beverage maker PepsiCo, ranked number 2 in the Fleet Owner 500 top fleets of 2022. The company's ordered 100 of the Tesla trucks with a cost that's expected to run as much as $180,000 each. Now, to put that into perspective, because I checked prices of new Class 8 diesel trucks, they run about $40,000 less, $120,000 to $160,000, depending how you equip it. With the qualifying tax break of up to $40,000 under a U.S. subsidy program approved by Congress, the semi cost would actually roughly be in line with a new diesel big rig. So they're not that far out if, and only if, he can bring him in on that time. Here's my problem. It is wonderful for him to finally be in production with the Class 8 truck, but you're talking about hardcore private fleet owners. These folks don't care about bells and whistles. They care about uptime, cost of maintenance, turnaround, and how much can we haul. It boils down to that. Is the vehicle dependable? Can we get the loads up? Are the charge times low enough to where we can turn these rigs around and keep them running? Can we turn and burn? Will the paybacks be consistent with the payback for a Class 8 diesel truck now? And are these things durable? The thing that scares me is I don't know how many pre-production semis Tesla has built and run through the paces. And I certainly hope they don't think Pepsi's going to be the guinea pig for them, because that's an awful lot of money, because they're required to pay between $10,000 and $15,000 reservation per truck to just hold them. So you're looking at millions of dollars for Pepsi to keep their place in line for these 100 trucks they're going to start getting. And what about infrastructure? That's the other question. Okay, you've built the truck. It's going to get out there. Are you going to have Tesla technicians on site at Pepsi trucking depots? Because honestly, in any new model, I don't care who builds it, there's teething issues. It's going to take a bit to get the truck shook down, to give reports back to the factory about stuff they did not think about or realize that the drivers and the companies are finding out in real life. And it may not always be like really big, fancy, heavy technical stuff. It may be little stuff, but important stuff. That may be the difference between this truck running and this truck not running.
Yeah, I got to admit, I was surprised when you put this article in there to see that this was happening this soon, because I haven't really heard anything positive on this front.
And for the record, this is not a Tesla fanboy website we're getting this from. It's from Fleet Owner Magazine, the industry of trucking fleets, reporting, and I quote, this is the headline: Pepsi expects to receive 100 electric Tesla semis by December. And that was that date. Musk tweeted back in October 6th. Now, to be fair, the Tesla Semi launch date has slid several times. First 2019, then it got pushed back various times due to various reasons. Most recently, due to part shortages. That's ominous. 2020, he said that all engineering work on the Semi had been completed, and Tesla expected to begin deliveries in 2021. That the availability of battery cells was the only issue limiting the vehicle's production, Musk said at the time. Months later, Tesla didn't provide much of a progress report except to say that the Semi was in development. This is where I go rogue for a minute. We talked about the Tesla battery, I believe it was the 4680. That was the sophisticated battery that they're trying to get up into production and into numbers that the Semi would be using. And because they were having trouble getting production of their most sophisticated battery up to speed, that some of the Tesla retail vehicles were using the old 2180 battery. Nowhere in this piece does it address the issue of Tesla. Did they lick the problem? Are they getting these next generation batteries at volume and in quantity at quality to build these semis? How many semis are actually going to be in this build? Is Pepsi going to get all 100? I kind of doubt it. I'd be impressed to see if they got 25 to start. And if I was Pepsi, that's probably all I'd want at first. Just, to drive the truck, give feedback back to Tesla, work out any operational issues that there may or may not be, refine some stuff so they can incorporate that into the truck and make the next batch better with corrections. Typically, this is the way that corporate America goes. Anytime an automaker, or particularly if they're a commercial truck maker, builds something like that, they'll take a prototype, put it in a fleet for a while, and say, okay, we want you to run it because we want you to evaluate it, tell us the problems you're having, let's look at the wear issues, the durability issues, what's going on with it so we can tweak it. Again, the article didn't talk about any of that. Now we know that, and I think it was 2 years ago maybe, Tesla was taking the Semi around to like trucking companies, including one here locally, where they were showing the Semi, but they were showing it. They weren't dropping it off for, okay, here, put 300,000 miles on it in the next 18 months, and we'll have a technician on site. Don't know. Don't know what parts and service are going to look like. So I've got a lot of questions relative to, oh, Pepsi's getting a Semi. Well, it's a bit more involved than that when you're talking about trucking fleets. Excuse me. Also, a vehicle like the Semi, because it's battery, I don't believe this is fuel cell, it's battery, meaning it's a heavier truck. How did Elon Musk get around offsetting the weight of the batteries with the ability of this truck to haul freight? Because at the end of the day, the only thing that matters in a Class 8 truck is how much freight, revenue generating freight, can I carry?
So there's just no information on how much it weighs yet.
No. I'll be curious to see how that plays out, because if these trucks are diminished in their freight revenue capabilities, then it makes it a lot less attractive to buy them, because what I'm paying more money for ability to make less money, even though I'm offset with, and that remains to be seen, my operational costs, because I don't have diesel, fuel, fluids, a bunch of type of maintenance that I would have with a diesel truck. So there's all these things swirling, and that's what I'm going to be really curious about when these vehicles actually hit the road in volume to see how they do. What's the cost per mile? How does that compare to a comparable diesel truck from either Freightliner or Volvo or Peterbilt or Mack? I want to see how they do, or Kenworth. Freightliner has their own e-Cascadia right now with numbers that is out there. So I'd be very curious to see how the two compare. And they tell you on the e-Cascadia what the range is. It's 250 miles. And they tell you what size battery pack you've got and what it weighs.
We have come to the end of our program.